Let's make one thing clear. I absolutely love the moral argument, and I think that understanding the moral argument is incredibly essential for understanding how other worldviews believe what they believe and what their system of morality entails.
My life story. Yeah.
Every worldview says something about how we should act, things we should do in the world, and those are important to understand why they say those things and why they say what they do. So in this video, what I'm definitely not saying is ignore the moral argument altogether. Before I get into this video, I need to explain two categories that people say about morality. Or really, what I mean when I say these words. Okay, when I use the term objective, I'm not talking about true right now. When I use the term objective, I mean absolutely true, despite human opinion, despite human action, or human misinterpretation. Now, when I use the term subjective, what I basically mean is everything else. Subjective means constructed and carried out by human beings. And that's whether it's individual or as a society. A lot of secularists will tell you that this is the only thing that exists, that actual objective morality does not exist. Okay, now there are two basic ways that the moral argument can be used. The first way is basically a line of logic that says if objective morality exists, then there must be a God that enforces and carries out that objective morality. Or in other words, if there is a law, then there must be a lawgiver. There must be somebody that judges according to that law. And the problem with that is nobody buys that method anymore. That is, if we assume that such a moral standard actually has a purpose. Personally, I like this method better, but nobody accepts the premise of objective morality anymore. People are much more accepting of the concept of subjective morality. And the problem there is that if they don't accept the premise of objective morality, then this argument is basically useless, because you need them to accept that there is a law in order to connect it to a lawgiver. The second method. Basically, subjective morality sucks, and objective morality is better and preferable in terms of function, usually. And Christianity provides that. I don't like this method for a lot of reasons. In the eyes of an atheist, usually this comes out as, you just don't have morality. The point of the argument isn't to insult people, though almost inherently that is what it seems to do. This method is basically evaluating the difference between the two, and which of them is better. One of the bigger reasons that I don't like this method is because it's not an argument about truth. It doesn't stand for anything. It's more of an argument about this is better, so you should accept that. But when you say something is preferable, it doesn't mean that it's true. So even if people are convinced of this method of the argument, that their belief isn't genuine. And I sincerely believe that anybody who believes should actually believe. Again, I love the moral argument, and I think it's absolutely essential for people to learn. But I don't think that it's a good argument to use, especially if the person you're talking to is accepting of the idea of subjective morality. And even if you are talking to somebody that is accepting of the idea of objective morality, it still may not be convincing anyways. When you talk about morality and use it as a basis for criticism, you start to bring into question the person that you're talking to. You're essentially criticizing that person's morality. And even though it's not quite ad hominem, it's still not a good way of arguing. Arguments don't tend to go well when you're insulting the person that you're talking to. And that's whether or not you mean to. Finally, okay, this isn't a reason to ignore the studies of morality and ethics altogether. It is super, super interesting and is absolutely important to learn. But be more mindful about how you bring it up in conversations with people that disagree with you. To other people, it's really just an idea that's being tossed around. Even if they don't get angry and it actually makes logical sense to them, they still may not buy into it. It's a bit of a risk using the argument. That's all I have for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and stay critical, my friends. Keep arguing. I'm never gonna find a good outro. But the moral argument, learn it, love it, don't use it.